Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again, and today I'm going to be talking about top 10 winter niche list. So stay tuned for that. If you like fragrance reviews, cologne comparisons, first impressions, and top 10 lists, hit that subscribe button for more great content. So it was a little while ago, or actually a long while ago, that I did the designer list, but I finally got around to making this niche list, which I'm excited about. I say this all the time, I guess recently or whatever, there's just more exciting niche releases and there's more variety. So I tend to enjoy niche fragrances more. Not to say that there aren't good designers, but especially the trend lately, there's a lot of the same. So got a little bit of variety here today. Some new fragrances, some old ones. But let's get right into it. I'm going to start with an honorable mention. This was number 1 on the fall list, and it's discontinued is one reason why I not putting it right on the list, but I absolutely love this one, so I love talking about it. Of course, Single Malt by Kilian. This is literally the first fragrance that's been discontinued that I am quite sure I'm going to miss. I might even go out of my way to find a refill while they're still fairly easy to find because, I do have the actual bottle itself. Love this one. Way better than apple brandy in my opinion. Even though it's not really that different, it's very, very boozy, comes across a little bit more like a rye whiskey than a single malt. It's very syrupy sweet and has this really great plum note in the opening. So instead of like a boozy apple, this is a boozy plum. And has just a hint of sort of a woody smokiness that gives you the impression of the cask. Love this one. Performance is good. Longevity is good. It's not overwhelming, but it does definitely project. Really love this one. Sad to see it go. Hopefully they will bring it back. But like I said, I might have to dig out a refill while I can still get it because that one I'm going to definitely miss. Now, number 10 spot is none other than Slowdive. This one has been on lists periodically. I've mentioned this one periodically. Actually, a subscriber sent me this fragrance to review to compare with B, which I did do that review. Really was an enjoyable review, and I love this fragrance. This one to me is actually personally better than B, although they open up very similar with this sort of waxy vibe that really gives you that impression of like beeswax. But this one becomes a lot more syrupy, sweet, gourmand kind of a fragrance, which also makes it very suitable for fall and most certainly winter. Whereas I find that B is a little bit more of it goes in a little bit more of a floral direction. Still very nice. Still has that beautiful honey and beeswax kind of feel. But this one definitely more my style because it does have that very gourmand element, very edible feeling. Very delicious. So if you do like honey fragrances, especially if you like them with a much more gourmand feel to them, try out Slowdive. This is a really great fragrance. Next one. I mentioned this one also periodically. Exalt Nuit. And this is basically anise and tobacco. I mean, not to overly simplify, but this one opens up very dark and mysterious. Do get a little bit of a feeling of kind of like a chocolatey feel as well. But it has this really strong kind of black licorice, very dark, mysterious feel in the opening. And of course you do get the tobacco. And this dries down into this very sweet, fluffy, marshmallowy, seductive kind of a tobacco. Very much enjoy that about this fragrance. Performance is good on this one. Does have a unique factor as well that I really enjoy. Especially with that opening. I know somebody said it smelled like Carlisle or something. I don't know that I would agree with that. This one does, most certainly in the opening, but in the dry down too, I think it is definitely different. But I do enjoy this one. If you like tobacco fragrances, if you like anise, if you like black licorice, do check this one out. It has a very potent opening in that way. Very interesting and mysterious. Next one. Another one I've talked about a lot. And that's Over the Chocolate Shop. And this is by 4160 Tuesdays. This is still my favorite one of theirs. I have tried several of their fragrances. They do have a good selection. But this is my favorite one. This one has this really beautiful chocolate sundae vibe in the air. So it does have this sort of syrupy, almost ice cream kind of a vibe, which is really, really nice. And then, you know, up close on skin, it does have a little bit more of a powdery cocoa feel, which is also nice. But I do prefer it in the air overall, so I would put this one definitely higher if it smelled always like it did in the air. But like I said, unless somebody's really, really close, that's generally what they're going to smell, and that's what I generally get whiffs of when I'm wearing it. So performance is very good. It's a thick fragrance, you know, nice projection, all that kind of stuff. Does smell like a chocolate sundae. Really, really nice. Fits that sort of sweet tooth gourmand vibe that I definitely have. Now, next one, yet another gourmand. This is kind of the theme. You know, it is winter, so it is definitely the time to break them out and to enjoy them. And this is a fairly new one. This is Sweetly Known by Kerosene. Big Kerosene fan. If you do like gourmands, also check out Unknown Pleasures by them. That's the one that gets talked about a lot. But Sweetly Known, also really good. It's, you know, it's maybe a year or so old now. But this one has this really beautiful cardamom opening that is just this nice baked kind of a feel. So it does have a very foodie vibe. And as this one dries down, it does become a lot more of this fluffy, sweet, kind of marshmallowy vibe. Now, there's two things to mention about this one. First of all, this is the most ridiculous beast mode fragrance that I have. So it lasts, you know, I could say this lasts close to 24 hours. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually did. It's a very, very long-lasting fragrance to the point that it's actually a bit of a negative. So I do feel like it lasts almost a little too long. Who needs a fragrance to last a day? Not me. I mean, that 8 to 12 hours is really nice, depending on your situation and what you want to do. This is almost a little too much. Now, in the dry down, it does have a little bit of a similarity, I think, to By the Fireplace with that marshmallow sweet vibe. This has a similar feel. Very unique in the opening, very different in the opening, but it does have a bit of a similar dry down to By the Fireplace with that fluffy, marshmallowy feel that it has. Very, very nice, very, very good. I love that one. Next one, Aoud Vanille. I started talking about this one probably last year because I think that's when I tried it for the first time. I think it was last year, and really like this one. If you like spicy, woody fragrances, this one opens up as a beautiful, spicy, woody, very masculine type of fragrance and dries down into this very beautiful toasted vanilla that is just so sensual, so great for cuddling, that kind of stuff. Good on a cool day for sure as well. Absolutely love that. Dry down reminds me of the dry down of Wicked Good, but Aoud Vanille doesn't cost anywhere near the same. Opens quite differently, obviously, but very similar to dry down. Performance, beast mode, as you would expect from Mancera, but absolutely great one. If you like vanilla or if you like spicy woods, I would definitely recommend checking that one out. Next one, I haven't talked about it for a while, so I wanted to talk about it again. That is Fan Your Flames. And, you know, just because lately I've been regretting not bringing this one with me to Europe. You know, I love this one so much. I brought Side Effect instead, which is also a great fragrance, but I just, I brought mostly because the bottle's almost full, whereas Fan Your Flames, it's almost empty. And I just figured value, but I love Fan Your Flames so much. This is a very tobacco-heavy fragrance. It is more of a rich cigar or pipe tobacco kind of a feel with a boozy vibe. But to me, the tobacco is the main player. Has a little bit of sweetness from that coconut. There's something in it that gives me the impression of like a burning ember. And it's just a very cool effect. This one is definitely more niche, but it's one that I absolutely love. Crazy beast mode. Crazy beast mode. If I'm going 2-3 sprays, it would last me all night. Projection, very strong. You know, so it is a performer, and it just has that really nice coconut rum tobacco vibe. Tobacco is the main player. So again, if you do like tobacco and you like them with a little bit of a sweet or boozy touch, definitely try this one out. Very, very nice. It's talked about a lot, so if you haven't heard of it, I'd be a little bit surprised. But if you haven't heard of it, it is one of the best Nishanes, so definitely worth checking that one out. So we are into the top 4. Now, the 4th spot, one that I have also talked about before, that is Malt. You know, maybe this one for me could replace single malt because malt is, to my knowledge, still around. This is a fragrance by Akro. Now, it does apparently have a seaweed note in it, and I remember, you know, some people don't like that seaweed note. I personally, on my skin, don't really get that seaweed note. So for me, it is a boozy, woody fragrance. This one smells a little bit more like a single malt than the by Kilian single malt. So it does have a lot more of a single malt feel. Does have a very nice woody dry down. Still manages, even though, you know, conceptually it's very similar to single malt, smells very, very different. Is executed quite differently, but you know, beautifully done fragrance. If you like really boozy fragrances, it's worth checking that one out. It's worth trying that one out because it is excellently crafted. Love that one very much. Now, top three, best three, and you can guess they might be. You know, I should have just made a top 10 gourmand list. Maybe I'll do that soon. But they are gourmand fragrances. First one, Pink Mark du Champagne Truffle. Talk about this one fairly frequently on the channel as far as frequency goes. Beautiful chocolate, dark chocolate truffle. Opens up similar to Dolce Passione, which is another really great fragrance you should check out. But beautiful dark truffle feel to it. Very, very chocolatey, very, very gourmandy. And then it actually becomes a little bit more boozy in the mid and a nice sweet dry down. But you know, the thing is that it's interesting is that most boozy fragrances, they open boozy and become less boozy. This one starts to become more boozy as it moves into the mid, which is actually a nice change, but it's also a very nice creative fragrances and definitely you know, separates it a lot from Dolce Passione, which is also, like I said, a great fragrance. So that's number three. Number two, Angel's Share. I was very tempted to do Le Revert, but I still feel like that one's a little bit softer, and so it's better for fall than winter. This one is quite strong and does last, you know, 6+ hours, 6 to 8 easily, sometimes more depending. But it just has this beautiful, beautiful boozy cinnamon vibe, very sweet, sensual. The cinnamon is so well done in this fragrance. Whatever type of cinnamon they're using, whatever note, it's really, really good. It has a bit of an apple pie feel, so I do lump this one in with other apple pie fragrances. Rosé All Day, Ambre Narguil, Paco Rabanne 1 Million Privé, Wajan. You know, they smell different from each other for the most part, but they're all part of the same family in my opinion. I think it's the cognac that gives it a bit of an apple feel, but it does make it, you know, a really beautiful fragrance. Very, very nice, worth checking out. A little bit more accessible than some of those other fragrances, as you may be able to just go down to the boutique and try this one out, but it's worth checking out if you do like those apple pie fragrances. One of the best, very, very good, very, very well executed. And the number one is actually not Rosé All Day, it's Rosé Noir. So I have Rosé All Day, so I wanted to bring it. And I love this one, you know, beautiful apple pie, a little bit boozy, syrupy as well, with a nice hint of plum. Rosé Noir is a much darker take. It's woody and leathery, and it has this DNA underneath that. And you do actually get a good dose of this DNA, you know, in the mid especially. But like right on the opening, it's so leathery. And the first time I tried it out, it was like a kick in the face. Reminded me of royal leather with how leathery it is. But awesomely done fragrance. Leather, the sweet gourmand, and oud. I do definitely get that oud in that fragrance as well. Does have, you know, it reminds me of the kind of oud that I'm familiar with smelling. I mean, I don't know how high end that is, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was authentic, just because Daniel Gallagher does use good quality ingredients and he does produce a lot of great fragrances. But if you like Rosé All Day, or you want something with that sweet vibe that's definitely more on the masculine side with, you know, things like leather and wood, Rosé Noir is worth checking out. Really enjoyed that one. And, you know, if I didn't have Rosé All Day, I might consider getting Rosé Noir. I think I do prefer this one just a little bit more, but, you know, it is a close battle. It is a close battle. Very, very good. So guys, that's my top 10 niche list. Leave a comment down below what niche fragrances are you looking forward to wearing. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.